Birmingham for Wherever We May Roam 92. Yes, tonight, Europe's heaviest rock show proudly presents a day in the life of Metallica. We're going to be hanging out with the band on tour to bring you Metallica interviews with questions sent in by you, the viewers, Metallica live performances from the Birmingham NEC, and of course, Metallica videos galore, including an exclusive showing of Harvester of Sorrow live from Moscow. So over the next 2.5 hours or so, this is your chance to ride the lightning on the show that's always more than metal. From Birmingham with Metallica, Wherever We May Roam 92, this is Headbangers Ball. That is the theme for tonight's edition of the Headbangers Ball, and we are attempting to bring you a day in the life of Metallica, and that basically means squashing 24 hours into 2.5 hours. And Lars has joined me. First up, we are going to be meeting up with Jason and Kirk later on, but unfortunately James is not very well and won't be joining us on the show, so it's nothing to do with his injuries. He's got
no, he's because, you know, just singing and blah, 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 he gets, like, clogged up and colds and all this kind of stuff all the time. So he kind of keeps his interviews to a minimum. And but somehow that message never gets through to the record company. They always have him scheduled for 10 interviews. Like, we have to cancel them, and the rest of us have to cover for him. But he's upstairs nursing a cold and just trying to save his voice for the show tonight.
Absolutely. Well, get well soon, James. And how is he coping playing the guitar with... I think he's wearing a glove or something.
Yeah, he's got one of these things that goes from, like, here up to just here. So he has his fingers. He can move his fingers. He has had his glove on for about 6 months. And... apart from that, I mean, there's not really anything. He pretty much has full use of his arm, and you wouldn't really even notice it. It's kind of skin-colored and so on. You know, it was pretty rough the first maybe month, 6 weeks, but, you know, last, 6-8 weeks, it's been okay for him, and he's playing guitar. He's pretty sore. He sits after the show with, like, ice bags and stuff like that, but he's there doing it for you guys.
And, you know,
ruining his arm in the long run, but he is here doing all these pretty shows. So,
okay, so how is the tour going? Are you?
It's great tonight. Tonight is the last show, and it seemed to go really quick. It
before you go to Europe.
Yeah, last show in Britain. It's you know, it was the first time that we're back on this indoor stage again in like 4 months, and it was the first time that we were playing with James again in like 2 or 3 months after he was just singing. So the first couple shows, we did one show in Belgium before we came and played Wembley. So we're still getting kind of used to it again, but it's picked up really well. We did a show up in Whitley Bay that I think was incredible. We did over in Dublin was incredible. Glasgow was incredible. I think that both of the Wembley shows were a lot better. You know, Wembley's notorious for, the kids are standing there going, okay, impress us, but actually we got a lot of energy back from the kids at Wembley, a lot more than we'd expected from when we played there the previous time, and also from everybody else came and said that they'd never seen a reaction like that at the Wembley show, so we were really happy with it. And Birmingham tonight is the last show, and we got a couple of surprises and a few things we're going to try and work in tonight.
Excellent. So we'll be there.
Yeah, we'll keep our fingers crossed. Yeah, but
we'll see. Excellent. So we're going to be following Metallica throughout the day, going down to the gig with them and being in the dressing room. You missed all the good bits. You missed me waking up and picking my nose and coughing and going to the toilet and all that. But Lars, is there such a thing as a typical day?
Well, you know, the typical day usually starts around 3. You know, you wake up and your tour manager comes, hey, wake up. It's like, no, give me another half hour. Well, you got to go talk to MTV and you got to go talk to some French television station. You got to do this. Well, I just got to make some phone calls first. You know, got to make some phone calls, blah, blah, blah. And then basically I'm here sitting, had some quick cheese and tomato toasted sandwich.
Rock and roll.
Yeah, very rock and roll. And now I'm sitting here nursing a glass of water and just trying to appear like I'm awake.
Okay, well, we're going to talk to Lars a lot more, but actually we're going to get a bit more serious now because we're going into the video for The Unforgiven.
Ooh, that is
now,
heavy.
A lot of people wrote in and said that they didn't really
what is this video
understand
about?
the song or the video. Now, could you...
Yeah, well, first I just got to say that that's probably in the last year, that's probably the question I've been asked the most. What the hell is The Unforgiven about, the video? But the song is basically about a guy who's in a situation where he goes through life without really ever making any decisions for himself.
Right,
He's always kind of being told what to do, always being guided and so on, and about how just at the end he kind of just dies off and realizes that he never really did anything for himself through his life. The video is what the hell is the video about?
Well, I think it signifies that because it basically goes into like a
the video's about
the
video's about this guy who's a little bit in a similar situation. He's like being tormented all through his life, as you see in the beginning. Then he kind of goes and hides in the sewer system and basically grows old and goes through, you know, everything in the sewer system and basically lives his life in there. And then at the end, very sad, just kind of lays down and dies away.
There you go. Okay, well, there is a Lars explanation for you straight from the Metallica mouth, so it's no pun intended there. And we've talked about it. Let's see it. This is Metallica with that brilliant song and amazing video, The Unforgiven. Lost As I Die, released as a single this week. Most excellent song indeed. And as you can see, Lars is still with me on the special Metallica edition of the Headbangers Ball, coming to you from Birmingham. And we're kind of, I think, in a home from home for Lars because we're in the hotel. Viewers' questions are on the way, but we've got a few more like general tour questions. Now, Lars, in the past, you've always brought out some great support acts with you. Why did you decide on the Metallica film this time around?
It was really, you know, when I guess it's about a year and a half ago now, when we were getting everything together for the first part of the tour, there wasn't really a support act out there that we really, you know, in the past we had people like Danzig and The Cult and Queensryche and just bands that we felt, Faith No More, bands that we really felt, you know, this is somebody we feel strong about presenting to our fans as a band that we're really into. And a year and a half ago, there wasn't really anybody about that we really thought that way about. So we just said, well, where does it say in, you know, rules of rock and roll that you have to have a support act? So we just said, let's try and be, you know, like Zeppelin in the 70s or Rush or whatever, just see it and go out and see if we can pull it off by ourselves. And then we realized after that that it's like, well, just to sort of, you know, turn the house lights off and just go out on stage and just start playing, you know, Sandman or something wouldn't maybe be all that vibey. So our manager had just come back from seeing Paul McCartney, who had this, remember him? Yeah, you probably never heard of him, but he had this retro film, like, even though we're not quite old enough to have sort of a retro film thing yet, we just thought, well, maybe that at least would get a kind of a vibe going, you know, here's 25 minutes of something before we come out, and then it just seemed like a pretty cool idea to do something a little different. And then now the difference between, you know, versus back then is that there's a band that we really wanted. We were really close to bringing Alice in Chains over here with us.
Yeah, that
because they're like
really good.
Everybody's favorite. They're at least my favorite band at the moment. They, you know, have a great new record out and so on. And then it was like, well, wait a minute, where are we going to put them? Then, you know, it's like we're so used to now being on the stage by ourselves and just going through the whole evening with just being in control of when we want to go on, when we want to come off, all that kind of stuff. It's just like, well, wait a minute, it just seems a little late in the game to start bringing a support act into the stage and all that kind of stuff. So we kind of left it at home. So you guys basically just seeing what everybody in America suffered through for a year, which is this movie. I mean, it's pretty fun, and I think we're trying to just show like the lighter side of Metallica and blah, 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 and just get the kids kind of vibe it up a little bit.
And also I think from the questions that are coming up from viewers very shortly, we know from those questions that they want to know a lot of things about Metallica's past as well.
I think there's a lot of people like, whether one likes it or not. I mean, there's a lot of people who are just getting into Metallica because of Sandman and Nothing Else Matters and The Unforgiven and so on. It's just like a lot of these people, it's like, well, is Metallica your first album? It's like, well, here, watch this. So.
Good. Now, is any of that footage that appears in the Metallica film, is that going to be used on the, you've got 2 home videos coming out later. Tell us a little about those.
It's, well, the only reason it's 2 is because it's so long that it couldn't fit on 1. So it's 4 hours, and it's called A Year and a Half in the Life of Metallica. And basically, from the moment we went into the studio in October of 1990 to start recording the album, we had a camera crew just like this guy and this guy, and all these guys follow us around. And basically, there was always right behind us there was a camera and this boom mic and the whole same stuff. And they were with us in the studio for the whole 9 or 10 months, and then went out with us on tour.
And was that like some of the footage from For Wherever I May Roam? And
yeah.
And
also there's a whole bunch of stuff from when we did the Freddie Mercury thing at Wembley, and they were basically with us on tour for like the whole year and a half. So that whole thing, there's like 35 hours of that that's been condensed down to 4 hours, and it's coming out in 2 parts because it couldn't obviously, like I said, fit on 1 tape. And it's just basically, it's not the cliche kind of and behind the scenes footage. The whole thing is basically behind the scenes footage. There's like maybe 45 minutes of performances, about 3.5 hours of just stuff, us hanging out, us being silly and so on, and that comes out, I think, in about the middle of November. And there you go.
There you go. Okay, well, we are going to talk to Lars lots more.
Keep your answers short, right?
And we are actually going to see another drummer in action, actually. We're going to see Bonham, of course, featuring Mr. Jason Bonham. Hope Lars approves of this. We're going to see Change of a Season. Bonham, and from one top drummer back to another, Lars is still here on Headbangers Ball, and we have got viewers' questions coming up a little bit later in the show. We're just talking general tour questions at the moment. Now, I'm sure a lot of people want to know this. Your show really is a rock and roll spectacle. How long did it take to plan the staging and production?
Actually, it's something that it's happened over. We did a very short British tour in the summer of 1990, and after we did that, we kind of went and started writing and recording and blah blah blah. But over the course of basically starting from that, just it's not really so much production meetings. It's like you sit in an airport and all of a sudden you get an idea and you draw it down on a napkin. I have all these like napkins of various early forms of the stage taking shape and so on. And me and Mensch will get on the phone and have like arguments or have creative, just spurts or something. Yeah, where you just sit, well then we can do this, and then we can do that, and blah blah blah. And then it basically, the idea came together pretty quick. As soon as we realized we wanted to do something that was not the normal configuration, then it was like, okay, well here you go, and then everybody can run around, and James can have mics all over the place, and we'll have a couple of kits that move around, and blah blah blah, and okay, off we go. And then the major revelation that was the last thing that happened, was this thing about, we had this big dead space in the middle of the stage because we realized we would always be playing out to where obviously where the kids were and so on. So it's like, well, the stage is so big, what's going to go on in the middle of the stage? Well, maybe we'll have like a prop or an inflatable statue or a big cross come up, or something highly original like that. And then it was like, well, maybe we'll leave that to the other heavy metal bands. And then Mensch came up with this idea, why don't we just basically put people in there? It's like, yeah, okay, Peter, go lie down, it'll be fine. But then we realized, it's like, wait a minute, maybe we could actually put people in. And then we like basically cut like a big piece of the stage out in the middle and put a platform in there. And now there's about 150 people in there that have a very unique view of Metallica.
Yes. The
live.
place to be, I guess, actually. And actually, we will be in the Snake Pit later on tonight when we get down to the gig, and watch out for that.
If you ever make it.
Now,
at this rate.
The first viewer's question of the evening, Simon Harris from West Sussex in the UK. I hope you're watching. He would like to ask you, Lars, why did you decide to fill the tour programme with bad reviews and criticisms?
Well, we just, in the last 2 programs there, like all these like long-winded stories about, how great we were. We got journalists to write the Metallica history and, blah, blah, blah. It just seemed like after 2 programs like that, it's like, okay, enough, so what else could we do? Well, when the album came out and stuff, there was some really funny reviews that just, I mean, we don't mind bad reviews. We can sit and laugh at them just like everybody else. They don't really wind us up that much. But it was just like, some of this stuff was just so funny. We thought maybe we would share it with you guys. And then as we went on, there came more and more bad reviews. And so it's just like, well, every time we get ones that are like, I mean, it's not just bad, if they're silly or funny or something, you know, sometimes there's a couple of ones in the tour program that actually we'll talk about, you know, and when Metallica, you know, played The God That Failed or something, we've never played The God That Failed live, just like all these inaccuracies and stuff like that, so we just kind of put all that in. There's a few other people like Nikki Sixx and Ian Astbury who have some not so nice things to say about Metallica, and we just thought we'd put it in there just for a laugh. I mean, it's not anything we take too serious. It's not anything anybody else should take too serious. But I guess the point is that some of these reviews are just kind of funny, and we kind of laugh at them.
I think it's cool that you don't take them seriously.
As long as you don't take yourself too serious, you know.
Okay, so there you go, Simon. There's your
Simon.
answer. And we're going to take our first commercial break on the Headbangers Ball now. Lars is going to be back later on in the show to answer more questions that you sent in, especially for him. And obviously, of course, he's going to be playing the gigs, so we'll be seeing him there. But after this break, we're actually going to meet up with Jason and Kirk, and I'll be putting your questions to them, and actually one of them will be, how do you get into the snake pit? How do you get those passes? They're like gold dust. So stay tuned for that. We'll take a break. We'll be back with Jason and Kirk as this special edition of the Headbangers Ball with Metallica continues. Welcome back to the Headbangers Ball, wherever we may roam, 92 Metallica special. And just before the break there, Lars was answering your questions, and now it's the turn of Jason and Kirk to do the same. And as you can see, they've joined me on the Headbangers Ball. Welcome, you guys.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
Good. Takes 2 months to make up for his one, I think is what it comes down to.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I feel all right.
He talks enough for everyone.
That's right.
I'm still waking up.
Oh, good. Okay,
We'll make it.
We're going to go into our first question from a viewer, and Kathy from Shropshire would like me to put a question to you, Kirk. Do you aim for technical perfection or more expression and feel in your guitar solos?
Depends on what day it is. I mean, I just try and just play what I feel, play with what I think. And when I notice that I'm not playing too technically precise, I flip the coin and start playing really technical. But I mean, I go back and forth all the time. Sometimes within the space of a minute, sometimes, you know, I'll play one way for days and then play another way for days.
So it kind of depends on
Yeah, it all depends on the situation and what's going on. But that was a very good question.
Yes, well done, Kathy. And actually, Kathy would like me to tell you that you've got lovely brown eyes. Well, actually, Kathy, you can...
They're lovely red right now.
You can tell the guys yourself, because these are all the letters of questions sent in by viewers, and I am going to be giving all these letters to Metallica at the end of tonight's show, and they will read the letters sent in by you, and also I'll be giving them this rather nice t-shirt sent in by Tobias and Sebastian from Germany. So there you go, Metallica are going to read your letters and see the kind of things that you want to know about them. And we're going to carry on now with a question for Jason, and this comes from David and Colin Mead in Ireland, who in fact these lads sent in some excellent questions. They'd like to know, what did you have to do to audition for Metallica?
Let's see. I talked to a guy from Elektra that had helped to get those guys signed, and I'd been bugging him about Flotsam and Jetsam for a long time. I found out about the auditions. He talked to Lars, and they said, come up in 4 days, I think it was at that time, and know 4 songs.
And a check.
And a check. and I got pretty busy, and I found out what their set list was that they've been playing with Ozzy, and so I learned all the songs on that set list that they've been playing. Went in on that first day and, you know, gave the list to Lars and said, these are the songs I know. He said, that's great, that's our set list. And I said, okay, well, here we go. And we played
So you did a bit of research.
Yeah, and I played a lot at home, you know, not very much sleep in those 4 days. And after we played that first night, we sat down for a while and talked, and they had a sandwich and stuff, and then went back to Phoenix that night. Lars called me, said come back in 2 days and know this many more songs. Went back in 2 days, played the songs. We played a couple different times, took a break, jammed for a few hours, then went out drinking and have a little bite, and they asked me that night. So it was within 1 week, and through, I don't know, Metallica was always a really big influence for me, so I knew a lot of the songs before this came about anyway. I spent a lot of time trying to learn some of Cliff's lines, So it just kind of happened. And, I don't know, I felt something weird way back that it was, somehow it was supposed to be me anyway, that was going to carry on for Cliff to make Metallica be able to continue, I felt something that it was supposed to be me.
Brilliant.
And it was.
The others obviously did too. Actually, another question for you, Jason. Lots of viewers, I'm not going to name you all because there are loads of questions. Loads of people asking, how difficult was it for you to fit into Metallica, and will you be contributing more writing and singing in the future?
It was really tough the first, I'd say probably 3 years.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah.
It was fun.
It was fun. It was fun. I'm not going to say it wasn't. It wasn't like these guys got really terrible mean or anything like that. It's just they constantly wound me up for about 3 years just to see, if I was going to be the guy or not. If I was going to be the guy that they wanted. And I think it had a lot to do with Cliff played a really big part in these guys' lives as far as a person and especially as a musician.
Right.
How he showed, helped everybody out, I think, with harmonies and how music works together and some theory stuff, He was kind of somebody they really looked up to for musical guidance. And I think they found it hard to channel their feelings at those times. For someone who was so special to them in such a big way was taken away from them instantly. I think it was hard for them to open up and try to accept somebody else, maybe to just be taken away from them again. And so I think it was all in good fun always, right? But it wasn't easy. But I think now that after it's been 6 years now,
right,
and the writing thing, I'm always writing. I think all of us are constantly writing. I'm having a harder time getting into where these guys, what their focus is. Like on this last album, I think I was still writing riffs that were very busy, and a lot of notes and stuff like that. And James and Kirk were kind of more into maybe Sabbath-y, simple riff type of vibe, and I was still writing flotsam stuff and all that. And so it's just a matter of us finally, meshing together. So I try to throw in stuff when I can, and I'm trying to take over singing live. It won't be long.
Okay, well, we'll talk some more to Jason and Kirk very shortly, but right now we're going to see some more music on the Headbangers Ball, and just rather fittingly, we're going to see Kirk's old band Exodus. Now, these guys are back. They've got a new album called Force of Habit, and we're going to see the very first single, Good Day to Die. But before we see that, we're going to talk to Exodus and find out about some of the different styles on the album. So we'll talk to them first, and then you'll see the video, Good Day to Die. A day in the life of Metallica, coming to you from Birmingham, and of course a big part of the band's day is spent doing press and talking to the media, and that's exactly what they're doing with us this afternoon. And Jason and Kirk are still with me to answer more of your questions. And coming up for Kirk, a question from Mia in Sweden. She would like to know, why and when did you become a vegetarian?
Why and when? That's interesting. Well, I was never really a heavy meat eater when I was younger, and my father used to go fishing a lot, so I was basically brought up eating just a lot of fruits and vegetables and seafood. And then as I got older, I started eating, junk like Big Macs and hot dogs.
Working at Burger King.
I worked at Burger King, which is like, the worst thing any vegetarian can do. Used to eat a Whopper for breakfast.
Oh no.
Go home smelling
Not
like a Whopper
healthy.
too.
Yeah. Once you work at Burger King, I'm sure that you'll become a vegetarian soon thereafter. But I became a vegetarian in 1985, and I've been a vegetarian now for 7 years. And you feel better. You feel lighter, and you feel more clear-headed, and you're not putting a lot of different substances that they put into meat into your system. And it's just a lifestyle change that I thought I had to do.
Question for Jason now, and from Janie Salamo from Finland. Janie would like to know, does Metallica have a routine for warming up for a concert? How do you all get ready to perform?
think James, Kirk, and I all do stretches for about like a half an hour.
Aerobics.
You know, just full-on serious stretches we've learned through different trainers and different stuff as we've went along, and from each other. And James and I both warm up from a vocal tape, you know, all that stuff, sometimes over humidifier. Those kind of things get the steam going. So that usually takes place about 35 or 40 minutes before we're actually onto the stage.
Power bars.
Power bars. It's like a candy bar, but a little bit chewier and a little bit thicker.
More
you know?
cardboard flavored.
But it's got all this protein and carbohydrates and everything in just this bar, and you take it with a bottle of water, and it's like
Gives you energy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, is it very much like a routine? I mean, I was sort of, like, when Kiss put their makeup on, that must have been like such a ritual, knowing what you're building up to. Is that what it's like?
The stretching and all that, absolutely. It's
disciplinary.
every night, same time, ching, 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 like that before the show goes. The hour before we're actually on stage is it's regimented, you know, just
no one.
Everybody does their
No one
things.
bothers us during that time.
And everybody gives each other their space
Apart
too,
from
you know,
MTV.
nothing. Yeah, right. Apart
We'll be
from MTV.
bothering you later on.
And then Lars has to take time to like tape his fingers. He gets his arm worked on by a tour manager, and then he always is eating something like fruit. Eats fruit, a lot of citrus right before he goes on to. So that's his thing, but he doesn't stretch that much.
Right. Now, I don't want to give the secret away completely, but you do actually talk to the audience before you actually start the live show.
Yeah.
I mean, I would have thought maybe that's almost like an infringement on trying when you want to be really private and get your act together, kind of thing. How do you
know when
cope
they're
with
coming.
that?
Believe me, we know when they're
whole
we make sure we're all dressed. Yeah.
The whole idea is that
most of us are dressed.
Right.
By that part.
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
The tape that is our opening act, the Metallica tape video, it takes you from the very beginning right up to the minute we're on stage in front of you. So that's the whole idea.
Right.
You know, of us talking to you before we get on. It runs right up there all the way from, you know, it works out pretty cool. And it's, I don't know, it's good charge for us too, because it makes, you know.
Psychs you up, kind of thing.
Yeah, it does. And we know that it's time right then. You know, you got to be ready to go right then.
Okay. All right then. Well, we're going to talk to Jason and Kirk lots more, but right now we've got a new video for you on the Headbangers Ball, another video actually from Saigon Kick, and this particular track is doing extremely well in America at the moment. It's from their album The Lizard, and this is Love Is On The Way. Easy on the Headbangers Ball, bringing you all the action from the Metallica Wherever We May Roam 92 tour. We will be going down to the gig with the band a little bit later on, but as you can see, Jason and Kirk are still with me, ready to answer more questions from you, the viewers. And a question for Kirk coming up. Phil from Cambridge would like to know, is the second guitar in your solo spot a tape, or is it James playing off stage?
What?
You know, a lot of people have asked me that. It's really strange. I mean, a lot of like musicians from other bands have asked me that too, and I thought it was obvious that it would be, you know, the other guys.
We must be pretty good.
The other guys playing under the stage. That's what happens when I play this certain part. I play a cue, and then Jason and James come in and they're playing underneath the stage because you know, it's set up so that we can, you know, play basically anywhere on that stage, including underneath it.
That's good.
Yeah, and it's really strange. I thought it was really evident, but I guess not.
That has been coming up quite a bit, actually.
Yeah.
So no tapes, Phil.
No
tapes.
tapes, mate.
Band playing under the stage, sitting under there, probably with a cup of tea.
Yeah, that's what
Exactly.
Exactly.
That's what's happening.
Towel wrapped around their necks.
That's
you know.
exactly what's happening.
Chilling out a bit.
their feet
Another
rubbed.
guitar question for Kirk, actually. Nicholas Hamill from Holland. Hello there, Nicholas. Would like to know, do you see yourself as a guitar hero?
Not really.
He's my hero, does that count?
That's nice.
I'm still trying to get as good as my heroes, and like until I'm that good, which will probably be never, I really don't see myself in the same light.
So who's your hero then?
I have lots of them. I have, you know, Hendrix, Stevie Ray Vaughan, Eric Clapton, Michael Schenker, a lot of old blues guys. You know, I mean, there's so many players that I admire.
Because you were taught by Joe Satriani.
Joe Satriani,
Yeah.
you know.
He's doing very well.
Yeah, old
amazing.
Joseph. Yeah, he's doing
So,
pretty good.
in short, No.
In short, you know, I don't feel very heroic.
He is my hero, though, man, for sure.
To
But
Jason.
I think that I can say this is Kirk and I have become pretty close this last year. We've been playing a lot together off of the stage, probably more off the stage than on the stage, actually. Acoustic, playing a lot of blues stuff. We have our VCRs. We watch like a Hendrix video or SRV video. Then we try to play our version of that song. Those kind of things, right? He's the kind of person that continues to really strive to learn. Well, you know, more styles and more pieces, always trying to better himself. I am kind of trying to do that myself too, but I can say that as his friend and also as an admirer, you know.
Excellent.
The check's in the mail.
Oh, man.
Very quick question before we go into the next break. Either of you could answer this one. Matthias Kropfs, I hope I said that right, from the Netherlands, would like to know, how do you decide who gets a pass into the snake pit?
Well, it all depends on the situations. I mean, there's various ways you can get into the snake pit. I mean, if you work for MTV, you can get in. But we have like friends of the band that we give passes for. Probably the most unorthodox way to get in is that we have someone who's just walking around, and they'll just give out passes freely to anyone who looks like they might enjoy themselves in the snake pit.
People that you see with the old faded Kill 'Em All shirt, you know, it's been washed
Like the
100,000
real
times.
fans.
You know, you hand them to them.
Yeah.
Different record companies and magazine winners and MTV winners and all these kind of things. You know, they get in there, and then friends, family, other players, you know, things like that.
Okay. All right then, well, we're going to take another short break on this special Metallica edition of the Headbangers Ball, and after that we'll have loads more talking to Metallica. As I said, we're going down to the gig with the guys and check out all the action down there, and actually playing us into the break, we are going to see some Metallica live on stage at the Birmingham NEC. Enjoy. Hi there and welcome back to the Headbangers Ball, and this is of course our Metallica special, literally everything you wanted to know about Metallica but were too afraid to ask, and that is really the case because you sent in the questions. Once again, you've saved me lots of work, and Jason and Kirk are here to answer them. And actually a question for either of you. Martinat Miriam from Belgium has noticed that in the press it's rare to read about the personal lives of the members in Metallica. Is that something that the band avoids talking about, or don't you get asked about it very much?
We have no life. This is our life.
Say it again, man. Married to metal.
We're dedicated to our careers.
I think we all do have things that we like to do on our own kind of wavelength. Kirk has collects a lot of art and comic books and horror movie stuff and all that. James kind of likes to be outside fishing and hunting and doing that kind of thing. Lars likes to be, scuba diving now, just certified scuba master or something now. and black belt, I think it is.
Black belt
Yeah.
in scuba diving.
I mean, people always want to know if you're married or if you've got girlfriends.
No,
but
girlfriends and stuff. But we all do different things, you know.
Yeah.
Play different music all the time.
You know, we're not gonna get that personal. I mean, you know, there's some things
Some
that are
things you need to keep
sacred.
sacred. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But I mean, we all have girlfriends. We were all once married, now happily divorced.
Except James. James wasn't married.
Yeah, except for James. And you know, I mean, there's certain things that you'd never think people would want to know anyway, so that you never really talk about it in interviews. Yeah, and people are just ask the strangest questions. I mean, you know, this being a
Most
good,
people are
good
interested in
example.
the band and, you know, the music, what happens recording or roading or whatever you do, you know.
I mean, but when you actually do have a chance to go home, does it feel like home?
It takes a little bit of time to get used to it, but it's great to get back, you know. And over the course of a tour, our breaks that we have are just sacred time for us.
Absolutely.
It always takes time to adjust at either end.
Yeah.
If you know, say we're going to be in Europe for 2 months, when you go back home, it's going to take a week or 10 days to get yourself back.
Get out of tour mode.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then when you get back into tour mode, it takes a second to, you know, adjust to the moving around every day and always being on your best behavior, you know, and stuff like that.
So we're really seeing Metallica in their natural environment at the moment, a hotel room.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay, Margit Post from Germany, who tells me she's a metal grandma, which sounds pretty cool to me. She'd like to know, what do you think of women in rock music? Now, whether she means female bands or the women that hang about in rock music, I'm not quite sure.
There needs to be more women in rock music.
Yes.
I think. I mean, there's a lot of good bands coming up, like L7, I think are great. And there's bands like the Lunatics that are pretty good also. They're up and coming. But as a whole, it seems to be a male-dominated kind of music because it appeals to more males, obviously. And you know, I think it'd be good if there was a bit more female variation because females in bands give it a different type of sound, obviously.
What about the groupies, Jason?
Groupies?
What about them?
I don't know. Is there any comment there?
Oh, that was a long time ago.
Yeah, that's in the past. I think that we're seeing now that Metallica has really, you know, blossomed out here.
Matured is the elegant word to use.
Thank you very much for that. In America, we did, you know, 100 and whatever it was, 50 shows, 160 shows over this last little bit here, last year. And as the audience grows, you see all colors and shapes and sizes of people more, you know, than it used to be just like white guys from 12 to 20 or whatever. Now there's a lot more, you see a lot more girls. You see, say, a father that's 30 years old and he has a son with him that's 6 or 7. And the dad has a Kill 'Em All shirt on, and his favorite album is Kill 'Em All. And the kid's favorite album is the latest album, but they're singing all the songs from all the albums together.
Brilliant.
You know?
Brilliant.
So that kind of thing. You're seeing generations, you're seeing more girls, and you're seeing all different people.
In Manchester, I saw an old couple up front at the rail. It was amazing. This guy had to be at least
Wasn't your mum?
45 or 50. Wasn't my mother. And I wouldn't put my mom up
His mom hangs in the pit anyway.
Yeah,
She just sits there.
she's in the pit, knocking people out.
Okay, great. Well, we're going to see some more music, but before we do, I just want to quickly give out some very important news on the Headbangers Ball. We've all been hearing about Ozzy Osbourne's last shows in Costa Mesa on the 14th and 15th of November. He's going to supposedly get up and jam with Black Sabbath. Now, apparently, Ronnie James Dio is not going to be singing with Black Sabbath when they do their support slot on those dates. And we've heard that Rob Halford is going to be singing for Black Sabbath in Costa Mesa at the last show. So I just wondered what you guys thought of that.
Jesus.
Wow, that's pretty
That could
different.
be wild.
Oh
man.
It looks like something that could be either really, really incredible or really dumb.
Not work.
Yeah, so I'd like to be there to find out for
That's
myself.
a tough one to think about that for a little bit.
All right. Well,
But
while Jason thinks about it, sorry, we'll have to get on with some more music, and we're going to see the brand new one from Guns N' Roses. Of course, Metallica recently toured there over in the States with Guns N' Roses. They've got a new single out, and it's called Yesterday. So let's see it now. with Yesterdays, and Lars is back with me on the Headbangers Ball from Birmingham Metallica special, and he is going to answer some more individual questions that you've sent in specially for him. So if you did send in a question for Lars, listen up, because I may be reading out your name. And first of all, Morten Barsch of Denmark. He would like to know, Lars...
Can I answer in Danish?
Well, actually, there's something about that coming up.
Okay.
When you released Kill 'Em All, were you aware you were starting a whole new style of music? Good question.
Now, du skal du høre, Morten. Altså, det jeg vil prøve at sige til dig er... Okay, we'll do it in English. No. I mean, the one-word answer would be no. The two-word answer would be no. I mean, it really wouldn't... We just did what we... we wrote 10 songs, and we put them on the first record. And... obviously we were aware that we were a quote-unquote an American band. Most of our influences and so on came from a lot of the stuff that was going on in England and Europe at the time, but there wasn't really a band in America that seemed to have kind of fused those, all the American bands at that time, Van Halen and Journey, they were all, yeah, and Van Halen doing that whole thing, and so many bands like Van Halen, but there wasn't really any sort of European-sounding bands in America. So I guess just the combination of the two, plus me and James's own little X factors or whatever, for lack of a better word, just created some kind of sound that a lot of people had never really heard before. And I think also a very much a kind of a European, almost punkish attitude about not caring what people want from you or what people think of you, or being very stubborn and very kind of having a lot of self-confidence and just wanting to do things your own way and so on. So to answer the question, basically, no, we weren't. I said that 10 minutes ago.
Okay, Danny Brunner of Austria, and lots of other people, numerous to mention. They would like to know, what is Metallica's relationship with Dave Mustaine like these days?
Well, speaking for myself, I have a really good relationship. I actually saw him in Copenhagen about 3 weeks ago. They played there with Pantera, and I went and said hello. And me and Dave speak on the phone quite regularly, and just talk about things that are going on in each other's lives. The other 3 guys, I don't think talk to him as much as I do. Well, I know they don't talk to him as much as I do, but in terms of between the bands, I mean, there's not really any kind of problems. Dave went through a period a few years ago where he was saying a lot of negative things, but I know that deep down in his heart, it was because he was really frustrated at maybe with some of the things that was going on in his own life and so on. So me and him have a really good relationship. And, I wind him up, he winds me up, and everything's fine.
Good, that's nice to know. Very quickly, one more quick one for the next video. Mrs. Julia Evans from Solihull, she'd like to know which member of the band is into Budgie, and have you or are you ever going to record a version of I Turn to Stone? I think that's her favourite Budgie song.
Okay. I was really into, or still am, a lot of the early, especially the first 5 albums, and then some of the stuff they did around 80, 81, which is where I Turned to Stone, I guess, was on. They did a couple of things in the late 70s, but I'm the one that's into Budgie. At the moment, it's questionable. I don't want to sort of just say no and like shoot your idea down, but I think it's questionable right now. I don't think that we're going to do a lot of, it seems to be like a couple of years ago we were doing all these cover things, and now everybody else is doing all these cover EPs and all this kind of stuff, so we're probably going to give that a rest for a while, but we'll keep your suggestion in consideration and see what happens.
There you go, Julia. There's your answer, and we're going to see some more music on the Headbangers Ball.
Now here comes Budgie.
Lars is going to be back next. No, we can't see Budgie, I'm afraid. You did actually mention our next band, Pantera. We've got their new video called Walk, and here's Mr. Phil Anselmo himself to explain what it's all about before we see the video.
When I was going
Birmingham Metallica special, and Lars is still here. We've got one more interview segment to come before we actually travel down to the gig with the band a little bit later on. More individual questions from you to Lars, and Igor from Czechoslovakia would like to know, do you play any other instrument apart from the drums?
Yeah, but you don't want to hear it. I can play guitar probably for about, say, 15 to 30 seconds. I can play Smoke on the Water and Am I Evil. So does that qualify me as a guitar player? That's probably more than a lot of guys in bands do. You know, sometimes when I'm all alone in a room, you know, I'll stand there and pretend I'm like James Hetfield or something, sing. But
Sing in
no,
the shower.
I don't really play much else.
Okay.
Kind of always wanted to keep after every tour. It's like maybe if I got a quick crash course in playing guitar, I could like get some of my ideas instead of having to like talk them through James.
Right,
I could
you
just
could
show him on a
demonstrate
guitar,
them.
but
Yeah.
I never get around to it, you know, because James and Kurt won't give me guitar lessons. They charge me too much, so I'm gonna have to have a word with them again.
Okay, Igor, there's your answer. Basically, no. Joanna Lipowskan, actually from Poland. I would have thought this might come from a Danish viewer, actually. Lots of people want to know, did you watch Denmark win the European Football Championships? Do you care about your home country?
Yeah.
And how much time do you spend there?
Oh, that was 3 questions.
Right.
Let's see. Question number 1. Do I care about my home country? Yes. I'm a Danish citizen, still very proud of it. Have one of these little red Danish passports. And I go back there as much as I can. Probably not as much as I'd like to, but as much as I can. I was just there for 2 weeks, had a great time.
We heard you speaking Danish a little bit earlier.
Yes, and I keep in, you know, close contact with my parents. The guy who looks after my drum kit is Danish, so we kind of have the Danish contingency out here on the road, and that's cool. And as far as the football thing, in Columbus, Ohio, we were on tour. No, this is a true story. In Columbus, Ohio, me and our tour manager, Ian, we got up at the ungodly hour of 11 o'clock and went down to the sports bar that had satellite coming in from Europe and watched the Denmark-West Germany game live.
Brilliant.
We were sitting there at 11 o'clock in the morning drinking European beers and obviously cheering for the Danes and just watching this thing. It was great. And all these Americans were sitting in the rest of this bar, and we were saying, yeah, kom så gang i den og score så, for helvede, hvad fanden laver du? We were sitting yelling this at the television, and all these other people thought that there was something more than beer in our drinks. You know, it was a pretty amusing thing. Columbus, Ohio, that day back in June.
Excellent.
Denmark won. They're not doing too well, and I went and saw them play World Cup qualifying in Denmark about three weeks ago when they drew with Ireland 0-0. That was pretty bad.
Don't ask me anything about football because I don't know.
Pretty horrendous.
Now, Sandra from Belgium read that you could have been a professional tennis player. Why did you give up the game and start playing the drums?
Well, I'll leave all the silly answers out of that one. The serious one would probably be that, or the 2 ones would probably be that I've realized, I think when I was about 16 or 17, that I wasn't actually good enough to really make it all the way in tennis. And also, what happens when you're like young kid trying to, you know, become a professional tennis player, when you hit about 15, 16, that's where most of the guys drop off because you have to be so disciplined and you have to just focus so much, and you can't have any kind of social activities or anything. And I was like 15, 16, I started drinking beer and listening to, you know, heavy metal and all this kind of stuff like I'd been doing.
And look what it did to you.
See, it just went straight downhill. But basically I realized that the amount of discipline and attention that you had to pay to you know, to do the tennis thing just really wasn't worth it. And in rock and roll, you can be a little looser around the edges about disciplining yourself and your bodies and giving it a bit of this, you know. So it, you know, I think I did the right thing, you know.
Okay, there you go, Sandra. And very quickly, final question for Lars before we head off down to the gig is, will Metallica ever release a live album? Lots of people want to know that, including me.
You mean there's somebody out there who doesn't have one of the, there's about 250 Metallica bootlegs out there, I think. I think that the whole thing with live albums and all that, kind of when video came and knocked on the door, it was like the great live albums. If you think back to the 70s, you know, Made in Japan, Strangers in the Night, and you know, Unleashed in the East and all those things. I mean, just, I don't know, it's just not the same anymore. It's like you put out a live, it's like now the emphasis is on the live video, and then some bands accompany it with a live album, but it's like the live video is like the main thing. So actually at the moment we filmed 2 nights in San Diego on this tour, and we filmed 2 nights in Seattle on the 89 tour, and so we're sitting on all this stuff that we're probably going to do some kind of video like next year. You know, there's a 4-hour video coming out
Right,
in 2
we
weeks,
talked
and then
about
probably
that
in
earlier.
about a year from now, we'll probably do like another 4-hour video that will be like the longest live video that anybody's ever heard
Ooh.
of, which will be like everything from San Diego this year, like 3 hours, and then probably an hour's worth of the material that we didn't play in San Diego from the Seattle shows in '89. Did you get that?
Yes.
And so then look for that probably next year. But whether there's going to be a quote unquote, you know,
live
album or
album,
CD or
right.
DCC or any of that
Right.
stuff with it, who
We
knows?
shall
Too
have to
early,
wait
but
and
we'll
see.
keep you posted.
Okay, absolutely. All right, well, it's time for Lars and co to head off down to the gig. We're going to be joining them. That's going to happen after the break. And also, Lars is going to give us a tour of the Snake Pit. And we're going to hang out in the dressing room, take you into the dressing room. So lots to come up on the Headbangers Ball. We are going to take a break
Help
now.
me.
And when we come back after that break, we'll be heading off on down to the show. So join us there, and we'll see you later. It's Lars will be back later on.
All right. See ya.
Okay, you're back with the Headbangers Ball Metallica special from Birmingham, and we're bringing you a day in the life of Metallica. It's about 6:30 in the evening, and it's time for us to travel down to the gig with the band. So if you want to follow me, get on the bus. Here we go. Okay. Okay, the whole band is here actually. James, as we have said
What?
earlier, is not feeling very well, so
fuck off.
we'll say goodbye to James. Lars
That was
is
James
here,
being his
everybody else is
modest
here.
self.
So, Lars, can we ask you a few more questions sent in by viewers? Is that all right?
I want to answer the other guys, the ones that were sent in for the other guys.
Do you?
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Do you like giving guitar lessons?
Do you feel like you're a guitar hero?
Absolutely.
Why are you?
I do this thing. I do this where I play guitar with my butt.
Okay, yes, I can tell it's getting close to gig time.
Right.
We're going
Here,
to set
want one of
off
these?
on
Want
the
one of
way,
these,
yeah.
Charlie?
What is it? It's not a Victory V or something, is it?
No, it's like a licorice thing.
Right, okay.
Good drawing.
So lots of
Big old
viewers, they want to know what is happening with your fan club.
What is happening with our fan club? Well, what happened was that the address that was printed on the Justice album, that guy kind of took off with like all the letters, all the money, everything, and he hasn't been heard from since. You know, you can blame us for hiring the wrong people, but we're in the process right now of trying to set up a new one, and we have some people who we trust. Excuse me. We have some people. Yeah, we have some people that we trust. We have some people who we trust very much, who's gonna try and take charge of it and so on, and hopefully we can get that whole thing set up and running.
Okay. And you're going to be very involved in that.
As involved as, try and give updates, and I mean, we're not going to sit and deal with it 24 hours a day, but we'll be as involved as we can, and as time allows.
Cool. Okay. Fierce Reader from London, she says, looking back, what does Master of Puppets mean to you nowadays, and how big a part does it play in portraying your image?
What image? What is Master of Puppets? I mean, what does it mean? It means album number 3. It brings back a lot of memories of hanging out in Copenhagen and drinking a lot of beers, and we spent like 5 months recording it back in '85. It's got some good songs. Great song on there. I just heard the other day actually on the radio, This Thing That Should Not Be.
Kicks
So
ass.
we played live for a couple of years.
A motherfucker.
These guys can't tune their guitars down that low anymore. So
Okay, well, actually the bus has got to leave now, and we're being told to get off the bus. So I shall say goodbye to you guys. See you down at the Birmingham NEC. Thank you very much, Mr. Bus Driver. And right now we are going to go into some more music on the Headbangers Ball, and we're going to see a really good video from a band called Non-Fiction. And before we see it, the guys are going to tell us a little bit more about their album. It's called In the Know, and then we're going to see the video for Reason to Live. Bye, Metallica! See you there. Well, I'm sorry for that slight confusion there. We thought that we were travelling to the gig with Metallica on their bus, but in fact we were actually holding them up. They were a little bit late for the gig, so we've actually made our own way here. We're here at last. We're backstage now at the Birmingham NEC, and if you just have a little look round, you'll see that there's all sorts of things going on. There's some people playing basketball actually, and this is where obviously all the staging and the production offices and so on, and also this is where the catering offices. So let's go and see what Metallica have on the menu tonight, and I do believe it's actually in here, and there's somebody that I would like you to meet in here. Hello. Let me introduce you to Big Mick. This is Metallica's sound man, and
Unbelievable as it is, isn't it, really?
how long have you been with Metallica?
Too long. About 8 years. Just having dinner, by the way. Some friends of mine. Would you like to introduce yourselves, guys? These are all the trucking corps,
Right.
without which we wouldn't travel anywhere. This is Andy here behind you. Would you like to just turn the camera that way?
That's Andy. How many? There you go. That's Andy. How many people are on the tour? You know, working behind the scenes.
We have about 50 crew, I believe. 50 crew, yeah. Plus these scummy type truck drivers here, which of course they'll kill me later for.
Now, from your point of view, how difficult is it to do the sound with this new diamond-shaped stage? Does it pose any more difficult problems?
Slightly, only in the fact that you have people everywhere, and you have to cover it all around the place. Oh,
That was a bean.
did you see that? Then? A little bit of bean came over from the trucking core the other side of the room. As to the sound problem, not a real problem. We kind of dealt with it in the early days, so we're sort of cruising along quite comfortably now. It's quite
So, what's on the menu tonight?
I've just had a prawn cocktail actually, and I'm just going to have barbecue chicken. Are we referring to food, or are we talking about the band?
There's a bean.
The bean, yeah, okay. Barbecue chicken I think looks pretty good.
There you go. Okay, thanks very much to Big Mick, a Metallica's sound engineer. And right now we're going to go and find out what is happening in the snake pit. And Lars is going to give us a guided tour, so follow me. Okay, we're not backstage, we're under the stage, and Lars is actually warming up for the gig tonight, so he wasn't able to be here to show us around himself, but I've got the next best person, and that is Ian Jeffrey, who is Metallica's tour manager. So how long have you been working with Metallica?
Ever since I've been second best to Lars.
How long?
About 4.5 years, middle of 88.
Okay, and right now we are, as I said, under the stage. This is all Kirk's equipment here.
Still James here. This is where James lives when he's down here, when there's other stuff going on he doesn't need to be up. And Andy here tuning his guitars, and we can't get over here I don't think, but Lars lives here as well, and then Kirk is over the back, and over to the left here we have Jason.
It's a great atmosphere down here. Actually, I'm going to show you something which we're probably not allowed to show you, but the whole of the ceiling is plastered with pictures of scantily clad young ladies. So there you go. That's what Metallica... young ladies. So let's move on a bit. Actually, you're going to take us down to the snake pit. So if you want to follow us. Okay, this is where Lars's drum kit is being set up. And
before the show, everything is hidden. The stage is completely clean, and this is where Lars's kit belongs.
And it moves about a bit, does it?
Well, who told you that?
We mustn't give all the secrets away before the show. Let's go to the snake pit now. Right. Okay, we're heading. Are you still okay? All right, we're heading up to the famous snake pit now, and this is actually the diamonds in the centre of the stage. So how many people can fit in here?
Well, it varies, but for the UK and Europe, basically 85 people.
85.
just because of the health and the fire rules here in Europe. They're a bit more stricter than America.
And what's the sound like when you're actually in the middle of the
You
stage?
can see hanging above us here, we've got 2 monitors here which give a complete mix of what's going on out front, and there's a small monitor here to see what's going on the video screens out front.
So how did you get into the snake pit?
Oh, friends.
Friends of friends, there you go, that's how you get in there. Let's carry on. Should we, will you take us up onto the stage?
Absolutely, let's go up
Okay.
stage.
Okay, this is one of the ramps up to the stage, and I feel very privileged to be doing this, to run up one of these rock and roll walkways. Ian is still with me. We're actually going to go up onto the stage. So maybe you could tell us a little bit about how long it takes to set the stage up.
Well, as you see, basically this is our Shape of Diamond stage here at the NEC. Our crew moved in at 7 o'clock this morning. They get finished about 5 o'clock, so we're looking at 9 hours to get the whole thing ready.
And then take it all down and move on to the next venue.
It's always a bit quicker going out, about 2.5, 3 hours on the way out and then on to the next venue. That's correct.
Okay, well, let's go down onto the stage a bit more. Come on. Let's see some of the Metallica fans. Okay, there's... it's crazy up here. Where's Ian gone? So, Ian, what else can you tell us about this?
Well, basically you can see this is just a diamond shape here, and in the middle we've got the snake pit. Obviously it's, I don't want to tell you too much about it to give away, but basically it's a unique shape. As you can see, we have all these things here with special effects, and it's a very unique show, very unusual.
Certainly is.
Let's
Well,
not
thank
give anything
you.
away too quick.
Thanks very much for showing us around. That's brilliant. And we're going to see some more music on the Headbangers Ball. I think that's what's happening. I don't know, Lucy. Yo, Headbangers Ball rocking backstage at the Birmingham NEC with Metallica, and this says tuning and attitude, and that's exactly what is going on backstage. There's Kirk, he's warming up for tonight's show, and we are not going to interrupt him because I think we're going to go and find Lars again. And if we go in here, if you'd like to follow me, Lars is actually working out the set list for tonight's show, and we're following him around the whole day, and it's getting a bit much now, isn't it? Do you change the set sort of nearly every night then?
Well, what we do is, look, it's a Metallica set list. What we try to do is, this is our second night in Birmingham, and whenever we do, we have like kind of an A set that's the main, we feel is the best set, so we play that on all the places where we have just one night, but all the places where we have 2 shows, we always try and change it around the second night. But we're trying to move some things around here that's giving me a hell of a headache, because we've been opening with Enter Sandman for most of the tour. For the last couple nights, as you can see, we've moved Sandman down till the end. Why am I showing you this when we still have 6 weeks to go in Europe?
You're giving too many secrets away.
But so I'm just trying to like work something different out for Birmingham, and it's kind of annoying me a little bit right now. So.
Okay, well, we've got some more viewers' questions for you. David and Colin Mead again from Ireland want to know, why do you always use the good, the bad, and the ugly as your intro tape, and who came up with the idea?
That credit goes to Johnny Z. Johnny Zazula is his name. He was our first manager, and why do we always use that? That's a good question. I'm not sure I have the answer to that. It just, we started doing that in like '83, and it felt right, and it's pretty much been there ever since. It's funny because somebody else asked me about that the other day, and I answered that maybe it would go into retirement after this tour. I don't know why I said that, but I did. But it's really moody, and it's very epic-y. Yeah, and it felt right, so there it is. It signals that we're on our merry way.
I know, I remember you walking to the stage at Donington, and that music like sort of put hairs up on your back of your neck, really. It was brilliant.
Yeah, well, like you said, it's very moody, and it kind of builds really well, and it's also somebody, the guy who did it, Morricone, is somebody who we really respect as a kind of a musician and so on. He did all the soundtracks for Fistful of Dollars and Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, and all those spaghetti westerns. It's really interesting music.
Okay. Well, one more quick question before we let you get on with preparing for tonight's show. I don't think this is actually a very good question to ask you when you're going out on stage, but Alan and Chris Davies of Bedford would like to know, would any band members consider solo projects or producing other artists?
Well, I think as you grow a little older and your taste in music kind of you'll expand and you'll get into different things and stuff. I mean, I've already done a project. I did that, new wave of British heavy metal album a couple of years. A few other people. I've been asked to do a lot of producing. I've had to turn it all down because obviously my main priority is Metallica. Kirk has guested on a few things. James has done a little bit of singing on some Danzig records and stuff. But in terms of fully fledged solo albums and everything that entails, kind of like what Bruce Dickinson did or whatever, at the moment, at least to my knowledge, nobody really has any particular plans about it. I can tell you that I'm not interested in doing anything in our time off other than just taking, when we're done next May. Next May, that sounds really
long rest.
Yeah, long ways away. But next May when we're done, we're going to take about a year off. And in that year, just going to try and remember how to breathe again, just relax and take it easy. But again, this is coming from the man who gets, I can get very restless in a couple of weeks. And, if somebody offers me a good production job or something, who knows? But as we're speaking right now, in early November 1992, see, I already want to get the tour done. That's why I think it's May already. There's no plans for anything like that. So.
All right, Lars, thanks very much for taking time out to talk to us while you're sorting out the set list for tonight's show. It's total chaos here, and we're going to be back with more from Metallica backstage very shortly. But right now, let's see some more music as the Headbangers Ball continues. Okay, that was an exclusive showing of Harvester of Sorrow from the Moscow Monsters of Rock Festival in Russia last year, and it's showtime right now.
Hello.
We're backstage.
How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Oh, pretty good, but I have to go somewhere right now.
You do. Good luck in Europe, and thanks very much to Kirk for talking to us. Okay, that's Kirk going to the stage first. The Metallica film is just playing out in the arena, and I think it's about 10 minutes till showtime. And now we're waiting for the other band members to come up here. And it's a little bit chaotic, like it has been all day, I'm afraid to say. I think that it's Jason and James going up to the stage next. And while there's some of Metallica's crew in the background there, they're having fun. Let me tell you actually what's going to be on the Headbangers Ball next week while we're waiting. I really, really hope that you tune in because we have a special edition of the Headbangers Ball from Boston with Extreme. And they'll be answering questions sent in by you, the viewers, and we'll be playing lots of Extreme videos and lots of Extreme live performances. So I really hope that you do tune in next week as well. And we're waiting for more band members to make their way up to the stage. Yeah, this is Metallica's last show in Great Britain. They're coming over to Europe next week. You're going to see the dates at the end of the show. And if I just step back a little bit, you can see that James is walking into the arena and there's Jason going crazy. And I hope James is feeling a little bit better because he wasn't very well. And there goes Lars. Bye, Lars!
This way!
Oh dear, it's crazy. Okay, right now we're reaching the end of our special edition of the Headbangers Ball with Metallica. I hope you've enjoyed the show. I've really enjoyed being here, and let me recommend their live performance to you. It's really, really excellent. There's the good, the bad, and the ugly in the background. That's the intro tape. I'm going to say goodbye. I'll see you with Extreme from Boston next week, and we're going to finish the show on a really high point. We're going to see Metallica live on stage. Bye-bye from the Birmingham NEC.
on tour.